Are you considering Spokane, Washington as your new place to call home? Well, we had a previous video for pros and cons, and I'm back with more. Stay tuned to learn more about the ups and downs of living in the heart of the Pacific Northwest to see if it's the perfect fit for you. Hello everyone, my name is Hunter McKay and I'm a local agent here in Spokane, Washington. On this channel, we cover everything from real estate tips and tricks to the ins and outs of what it's actually like to live here in this beautiful city. My team and I have lots of experience in the Spokane market, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to hop on a call and answer anything that you need. If you want to learn more about Spokane, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe so you stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Now, let's jump into all of Spokane's pros and cons. First, let's start off with some of Spokane's pros. In this video, we're going to talk about the downtown scene, seasons, the accessibility to locally grown food, and how family-friendly Spokane is. One of my favorite parts about Spokane is its downtown scene, and I'm not talking about the bars because, let's face it, we only have a few really excellent ones. I'm really talking about the diverse activities that we have. There are so many different events throughout the year in downtown Riverfront Park. We just had Terrain a couple of weeks ago, which is a massive art festival that goes all through downtown and Brown's Addition. It also completes with a music festival and has a bunch of art installations all throughout the area. Other than that, there are so many different food options from craft breweries, different wine bars, and a whole bunch of different amazing restaurants of all different kinds. During the warmer months, the pavilion hosts a bunch of outdoor activities, including Pig Out in the Park, which is an international food festival that has food trucks from all over the country, and it's personally one of my favorites because you can get this hamburger donut that's made out of a really greasy patty, definitely going to give you a heart attack, but it has Krispy Kreme donuts as the bun, and it is absolutely to die for. Maybe quite literally. In addition to Pig Out in the Park, all throughout the summer months, there are a ton of concerts at the pavilion and an amazing amount of outdoor spaces from different lawns that you can play on, basketball courts, tennis courts, and so many different outdoor areas to play around on. If you have kids, there are play structures everywhere and even a couple of water installations, and according to National Geographic, it's one of the best urban parks in North America. In the winter months, there's also an ice skating ribbon, and you can pop over to a movie downtown or enjoy a gondola ride over the frozen falls. In Spokane, you truly get to experience all four seasons. In spring and summer, there are so many different lakes, quite literally like 35 within 45 minutes of Spokane, and really only 5 or 6 big ones that are important to me, but there are so many different amazing areas to go boating, jet skiing, canoeing, fishing, you name it. In addition to all the amazing lakes and rivers, there's also the Centennial Bike Trail, and you can take that from 9 Mile Falls all the way through Spokane out towards Coeur d'Alene. If winter sports are more your style, don't worry, there's so many different mountains all around. Schweitzer is probably the most popular, 2 hours away from Spokane. It's in Idaho. But then we also have 49 Degrees North and Mount Spokane, and those are just short 45-minute drives. Right now, as I film this video, we're in the heart of fall, which is one of my favorite seasons. It's not too hot, not too cold. I get to break out all of my scarves and jackets. But most importantly, Green Bluff is hosting its Apple Fall Festival. And so 20 minutes away, just outside of the city, there's Green Bluff Orchards, which is an amazing farm area with 30 to 40 different private farms that are all hosting different community events. Next, we're going to talk about our local farms and food. If you're interested in sourcing your food locally, then Spokane is the place for you. There are so many different farms all around the area, dependent of time of year, of course. A lot of these local farms produce so much produce that goes directly to farmers markets that happen all throughout the year. 2 of the most popular farmers markets are weekly held in Perry District and Kendall Yards. If you're interested in growing your own food, Spokane's climate is perfect for growing so many different kinds of fruit and vegetables that you can actually go completely self-sustainable. We often have so many friends and family in the area that are producing their own locally grown fruits and vegetables that we get given produce throughout the year. Speaking of friends and family, Spokane is one of the most family-friendly areas I've ever lived. There are so many parks and different areas throughout the city. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you're in, there's probably a park or a play structure for your family within 5 to 10 minutes. In addition to all of the public parks, there are also skate parks, basketball courts, tennis courts, all for public use throughout the city. And for just a small fee, there's an area called Wild Walls, which is an indoor climbing area that is an amazing facility for your whole family. In addition to Wild Walls, we have 2 other facilities, one Laser Quest right next door, and then there's one just a short 10-minute drive away that is a go-kart facility. If all of that just sounds really boring to you and you're like, but what about the sports? Don't worry, there are so many sports programs across the entire city, both public and private, for your kids to participate in. But Hunter, I've seen my kid play soccer. We're not going that direction. He has 2 left feet and I want to keep him inside. No worries, the library has tons of individual activities and group-based activities throughout the year for all different kinds of people. If camping is your family-friendly activity, don't worry, that's what we did too. We once took a 2-week vacation that we didn't come home from for 8 weeks, and it was just because we were from Vegas and we had never been to the lake for an extended period of time. So just be aware, if you go on vacation, remember to come home. Next, I'm going to talk about some of the cons that come along with living in Spokane, because let's face it, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Nowhere is. We're going to talk about road conditions, womp womp, the job market, walkability, because there isn't any, and the thing that we've gotten the most question about, crime. All right, let's talk about road conditions. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Just get a 4-wheel drive vehicle, get a SUV, get a Subaru. I don't care what it is, but you're not driving a motorcycle. There's no 2-wheel drive cars. It snows here. It's hard. We have potholes. There's snow and ice on the roads. It expands the roads. It shrinks. It contracts. It breaks the road in half. All of a sudden, that pothole that you're driving over, you think it's little. It's not. It's going to wreck your life. Your whole tire is going to come popping off. I know. You might think, Hunter, I've lived in other places. This is nothing to me. Okay, great. If you're from Alaska, Colorado, parts of Florida where, we have an elder alert because people are driving 50 miles an hour in a 75, I get it. Fine. You've experienced worse road conditions than us. But for everyone else that comes from normal cities where people obey traffic laws, this just isn't the city. And I think it's the weird combination of fresh Californians that move in not understanding snow, 85-year-old Spokaneites who have always lived in snow and don't understand why everyone's driving so goddamn fast, and the new 16-year-olds who are on the road every year. And these 3 people combined with, frankly, potholes the size of Texas, just good luck. Bring your SUV. The next thing we're going to talk about is the job market. While Spokane's unemployment rate is arguably really low compared to the average, we really recommend coming to the city with an already stable source of employment for a number of different reasons we'll discuss here. One of the major reasons we say this is if you're planning on moving here, you either have to rent or buy a home, and in both situations, you need income to qualify. Sometimes future income can count, but only if you already have proof of that job in the form of some kind of job offer letter. In a previous video, we've covered Spokane's job market more in depth, and I highly recommend watching it. Certain sectors, you can get a job pretty easily. Others, you might find it really challenging and competitive. Next, we're going to talk about walkability. While there are certain areas of Spokane, specifically my area, Kendall Yards, and strict downtown, is walkable, most of Spokane really isn't. You're going to want a car, or at least be prepared for a hefty Uber bill. I really like my neighborhood in Kendall Yards because it's one of the few areas that I can both walk to a grocery store and have a nice sunset walk by the river. There are a lot of areas where you can pick one or the other, but you just have to decide what's really important to you on your walking journey. I know there's been a big push lately to have more sidewalks added and just more accessibility in general for people in wheelchairs, and I have to admit, I don't really see that being a priority for the city, not because it's not needed, but just because a ton of money has more been prioritized into bike paths. And I will say that a ton of people bike to and from some of the midtown areas into the downtown core, and so I can understand the prioritization, but it's just tough if you choose to use the bus lines or you're a person who walks. It can be really challenging to get around, especially in the winter. So bring a pair of boots. One of our biggest asked questions on the channel has been, but what about crime? And I think that this is due to a lot of different things. We've always heard the Spokompton hashtag or Spokane doesn't suck on the opposite end of that. I'm from Vegas originally, and so we have real crime, like the kind of crime I don't want to talk about on a YouTube channel because it's just negative and sad. And so to me, Spokane is delightful. However, let's talk about some of the statistics. Violent crime is something that I think is actually important to me. I don't want to die by violent crime. I don't want to experience violent crime. It's going to be a really negative part of my day. And so I'm super pleased that Spokane's violent crime rate is actually below the national average. And if I think about my personal experience about walking around Spokane, I feel pretty safe. Even in areas that are supposed to be the bad area, I feel safe. I just need to not be a dumbass and walk into someone's yard. While violent crime might be below the national average, property crime is way above the national average. And honestly, this kind of tracks. I'm no statistician when it comes to crime or any of this, but if I just assume what I'm looking at, we have people breaking into houses primarily because they want to steal the stuff inside them, probably to sell the stuff for drug money. And so we have an increased homeless population. This is going to be worse in the downtown core and other areas that have homelessness. And so I get it, it makes sense. A great comparison to a city of our size is Fresno, California, and their violent crime rate is double ours. And so comparatively, we're doing pretty well. However, we have a pretty sizable homeless population for all cities of our caliber and size. There's a lot of talk about that we get homeless populations from other metro areas bust in here. I don't have any confirmation of that, and quite the contrary, our city organizations say that that is not happening. I think that it's just really expensive to own housing here, and it can be really easy for people to fall off of the housing ladder and into homelessness. Because of this, one of the biggest things that happens in property crime is cars getting broken into and things getting stolen, especially if you leave stuff in your car out at night when you're going clubbing or dancing or even just going to a restaurant and having dinner. So be aware of your surroundings. And I personally don't leave anything in view of my car. It either goes in my trunk or comes with me. That way no one wants to break my window. I'm sure if you're just queuing into this part of the video, Spokane sounds like a scary place, and you're thinking, wow, I'm going to go get that Spokompton t-shirt and rep it. Talk to someone local in Spokane. Ask them what their experience is like. If you ask me, what is crime like in Spokane? It's not that bad. I feel safe. I know not to leave my car unlocked, and I'm not in a tiny 5,000 person town where I know every single person. But I have plenty of friends and family who send their 10-year-old to walk 16 blocks to school because they feel totally safe in that neighborhood. And there are so many areas where I'm driving through showing property, and there are kids of all different ages, unattended, frolicking around in their joggers, saying this is a great time and a great place to be alive. And so don't worry about the stats. Talk to someone who lives here. Come and experience it. Look at the areas that you're going to be living in and go spend 2 hours playing in a park and see what it's like. If you made it to the end of this video, thanks for sticking around. Be sure to like the video if you found it helpful, and if you're local and from Spokane, let us know in the comment section about what your pros and cons would be. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My contact info is in the description. My team is standing by ready to help.